Well, our guys had a good week this week. We were fortunate enough to get those games in. Had a come from behind win, and then had some close games. Had a game where we got a big lead. We kind of extended ourselves in one win. Unfortunately, had a starter go down, but then had a freshman come in on very short notice with the bases loaded, and he did a remarkable job for us. So we played good defense throughout the week, and pitched well, swung the bat well. So hopefully we can build on this, but we do have to press on. These wins won't do us any good this week. We got to continue to move forward. Weather permitting, we'll play Southeastern, a very good baseball team. They're sitting on the top of their league. They're playing well, so we'll have to play well on Tuesday. Try to get some type of practice in Wednesday if we're fortunate to, weather permitting, and then travel on Thursday to head down to Texas State, which will be another road weekend for us. But you know, we have played well on the road. That's one good thing, and we need to press on and move forward and try to make our run. Right now, it looks like we got a little spark off the Houston game, and got us going. So hopefully we can carry that on. I thought we did a good job at this time, having to sit through weather again as compared to the first time when we hit it. So it looks like, you know, they grew from that. So you know, Troy right now is a unique team. Their overall record 17-17, but yet they're 9-6 in conference, so they're playing well in the weekend. And so we'll have to be ready for that situation. If Milhorn can't go because of the pulled groin muscle, we'll probably move Guillory up to Saturday, leave TVA as Sunday. Tomorrow we'll go back out with Derek Carter. He'll get his second start. He did really well at Southern. So they're off today. We'll get after it tomorrow. Practice Wednesday here, Thursday on the road, and then play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Questions you might have?
What made Eric so good last Tuesday?
Well, I think what he did was we went into there. The chart showed us that they struggled against right-handed velocity. So Eric's got a very good fastball, and then we had Bizarre behind him. We were going to try to choke him with velocity, and Eric. What he did so well of is they got strike one, strike two, got ahead in the count, and then he elevated because they had a lot of free swingers. And so if you can get somebody to elevate with two strikes on free swingers, you know, you can get some strikeouts too, and that's what I think led to a lot of his strikeouts. And but he set a good tempo on the road for us, and from there, you know, I thought the hitters did a great job. We played good defense behind him, and that's what you want in the middle of the week, is to try to have a good tempo. Because again, usually you're coming off a 3-game series, especially a conference series, where you really, you know, mentally and physically, you lay it all on the line. I mean, that's the weekend you do that in conference, and so in the middle of the week, you want somebody that's going to get you off to a good start.
But Milhorn, is it officially a groin injury? And with that sort of thing, how long is it until you know if he'd be ready to play?
We won't know that. You know, it's the next day after it calmed down, it looked better than we thought it was, so that's a good thing. When you talk about pitching, you know, and hitting, all that's a kinetic chain, and when you have, it's kind of like when you have a kink in the garden hose, you know, you don't get a lot out at the end. And so anytime they hurt an injury, a hitter or a pitcher that's in that kinetic chain, it does take a little while to heal up. So, you know, this is not, I think, going to be surely a weekend thing. But he went after it aggressively. We got him out of the game, and they started treating him aggressively right there. So he's under aggressive treatment, back in there again today. And it's going to have to be a wait-and-see thing, and see how he recovers, how he heals up. And so it's just, there's no timetable on it as much as you just know it's in a tough area, you know, for a pitcher.
Considering what happened last year with him getting banged up and it really affected him, are you more cautious than normal with this situation?
Well, I think what he's done is he's grown, you know, from last year through that injury and through that tough year. And I think now he's better prepared to handle the injury this time.
Coach, you got your 4 freshmen, you got 12 victories between those 4 kids. I imagine you thought that's what, when you went out and recruited them, that's one of the reasons you thought they had that upside to them. But where do you put them at this point of the season, and where have they been far as expectations?
Well, you know, when we recruited them, you're right, we recruited them. We tell them all the time, we're not recruiting because you're good. We recruit you because you have the ceiling to get better. I give a lot of credit to Daniel Freeman. I think Daniel's helped our pitching staff out enormously. We went out and felt we needed another pitching person because we were going to be very young on the mound. A lot of times freshmen are scared of the head coach, and so you always want to try to have somebody in there that they can come to, go to, be with. And I think Daniel's done an outstanding job. I mean, he's a guy that's hardly seen because he's in the bullpen all the time with him every day. And I think it was a good move on our part by hiring him. We knew he was good. And we felt that the freshmen were going to need somebody in the day-to-day grooming of them. As a head coach, it's so tough. You can't be in the bullpen every second of the day. I mean, you got to be on the field, and you got to, you know, be at the batting tunnel. Then you got to be, you know, guys are still working in the bullpen while you're still doing stuff on the field. So Daniel's done a great job. Thurman's done a great job too of handling those freshmen too. So between those 2 guys, I think that's what's enabled the freshmen to calm down a little bit and pitch. But no, we're ecstatic because mixed in with these arms, and then we signed the number 1, number 2 pitcher in the state of Louisiana for next year. We can get those 2 guys into here, mixed with the experience that these guys have. That was our whole plan, you know, was to try to get better. Did we, you know, my eyes told me in the fall, you know, that it would be an up and down situation. And I think it was at first, and I think now they're attacking the strike zone better. Our walks have come down because what happens when they're young is they pitch all around the strike zone. Now they're attacking hitters. I think they realize that Ruth and Mantle are not at the plate, that they can throw the ball over the plate. And I think that's what's leading them to get better. Now our team trusts them. And we're ecstatic, but I think Daniel's done a great job behind the scenes. I really think, you know, we woke up this morning, we're first in the league in pitching, and I think a lot of credit's got to go to Daniel. He's done a great job behind the scenes in the bullpen with our pitchers.
Some of the guys said, I think you might have said too, just to get the bat going, they just kind of simplify things. What is making it simple and challenging?
Well, you know, sometimes I guess the only analogy I can kind of come up with about sometimes when you make something too difficult or over try, it's like sometimes in basketball where a guy makes a bad pass, you know, and they steal it, and he tries to go be a hero, and now he fouls the guy. I mean, it's a case of over trying. And I think what happens sometimes in this sport is hitting so hard because it's in milliseconds, and you can clog up yourself pretty quick by doing a lot of thinking. I think they ran the numbers. I think, you know, Geraldo Chapman's fastball gets to the plate and, I don't know, right at 400 milliseconds or something, and the human eye, it takes roughly around 400 milliseconds to blink your eye. So when you really, really factor this in, you can see how it doesn't take much to get a hitter off of kilter. And I think when you simplify things, you just slow things down. And when you slow things down, there's an old saying that hitting coaches use all the time: slow feet and quick hands. And when you know, I went to a hitting seminar one time, and it was Palmero, Clark, I think, and George Brett speaking. And it was Brett's turn. And they asked him what he does when he struggles. You know, he said 3 things: I back off the plate, I loosen up my hands, and I use the middle of the field. Because he said the more he struggled, the more he had a tendency to tighten the handles of the bat, get on top of the plate, and start to pull the ball out of frustration. So we go to the restroom break, and there's 2 or 3 dudes on the side of me in the urinals, and it's probably too much information. But while we're in there, they're talking to each other, and one of them's upset because he had to pay like, $399 to come to this seminar or whatever, and he came to get the secret. And he was mad because he didn't get the secret. He didn't think that was the secret. But when you talk about greatness, their secret really is something very simple. I mean, it's why they're so good. And so I think, that's all that they've tried to do is just simplify things. I think they're further along with their hitting coach. They're further along now, going through different phases of being good, slumping, coming back out of it. I think they're a little bit more comfortable now, being that they've gone through what they had to go through to get where we are right now.
Butler, when you have him back, was he just the wrist or was there concussion?
No, I don't know what happened with the wrist. Our trainer asked me, what do you want to put out? I said, he ran into the wall, and we're going to hold him out for precautionary reasons. And the paper, I read the paper, he hurt his wrist. I don't really know about the wrist, but he kind of banged in the wall pretty hard. And so when that happens today, when they deal with the head, they're going to slow down today. And so he went back to swinging on the tee and everything. He's all good right now. He'll hit this week for sure. He could possibly be released to play tomorrow night too, if we see necessary. But I think he'll be back for the weekend for sure.
When will you not decide on tomorrow until tomorrow? Or might you decide
For him?
No. For playing tomorrow.
Oh, John Dugas usually comes get me in the morning of a game, a midweek game, and we'll look at it, and then we'll try to keep in mind that they're probably going to leave at 2 o'clock to come here. We'll try to look at that and try to come up with a decision. Hopefully, I'm sure noon to 1 o'clock. We don't like holding all the people that are cooking and everything else hostage to the best of our ability. On the other hand, we have turf, and you saw this weekend. I mean, you never know. I mean, as I sure thought, it was going to be tough, and we got all 3 games in. So we'll see.
Coach, you were able to stretch Wyatt out 6 innings, got 6 out of them, and did she give you another option there, or is just one of those things where you just going to play it by ear depending on what happens with Milhorn?
No, I think he gives us another option. I think down the road Wyatt's going to be a starter. We do have some choices for this Sunday. If Milhorn can't go, I'll move up Guillory and open up Sunday. So we'll see. He's definitely one of the candidates. I just really like him out of the bullpen right now. He's got good rhythm and good tempo and good attack. And one good thing is he's had his one start where the game was a little too fast for him at McNeese. So I think he got a lot of experience from that. He likes to throttle up, which is good, but sometimes you want to get in there and throttle in at a 6 or a 7, or an 8. And I think at McNeese that night he was throttled up just a little too high. Now I think he's learned where to be. So this next time out, if we do have to start him, I think he's better prepared. But I think Wyatt can start. I mean, he can start in high school. I just like him out of the bullpen right now, but he would be a candidate for me to consider for Sunday.
I know you shuffled a lot of the lineup a couple weeks ago to try to get consistency 1 through 9. This weekend, do you feel like you're starting to get that consistency, especially with Kyle coming along?
I think so. Again, I think that the better we come as a hit-and-run team, the better we come as a bunting team. We're not a big team that's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark. We have to hit together in a lineup to where we can create innings like you take an All-American and you're able to double squeeze. I mean, that's what we have to be. And I think we're getting closer to getting that 1 through 9 now with the guys that are expected to hit and run, the guys that are expected to move runners, bunt. We got to be that kind of team, man. We can't sit at first base and try to leg kick people. I mean, that was last year's team. Doesn't mean we're not good. It's just we got to hit according to our personnel, and I think we're starting to do a better job of that 1 through 9 and hitting into our personnel.
Tony, talk about the road trip conference games are always important, but this it's 3-game trip to Texas State.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Mike, 'cause we always say this, you know, it's conference this weekend, boy, it's a big weekend. The next weekend, you say, boy, it's conference, boy, it's a big weekend. And for us, where we're at right now, because we're kind of on a razor's edge, every weekend's going to be big now because we got to try to make a move. We feel better about ourselves. I think we've had to go through all of what we went through to get where we are. Doesn't mean we're out of the woods, but I think we've been able to be weathered a little bit, and hopefully now it's time to get back on the road again. We have played well on the road, which is good for us. I think it's why our RPI is the best in the league right now. But this will be a big weekend. Texas State's a unique team because their overall's not that good, but they look like they gear up for the weekend. So we're going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to gear up for the weekend and be able to try to do what we've been able to do. Our defense has calmed itself down a little bit. Our base running mistakes have gotten fewer. And those were the two of our Achilles heel was an error here, an error there, base running mistakes. Can't do that. We don't have the firepower to get run out of an inning by a base running mistake. And we don't have, we're starting to grow as pitchers, but we said this at the beginning of the year, we got to get the freshmen off the field. We get the freshmen off the field. And right now, that's what we've been able to do is play better defense and run the bases better. And I think that's what's helping us right now. And that's what we have to become for the rest of the stretch every night out. Because again, we've always played with everybody. I mean, nobody's blown our doors off. It's just we've sometimes knocked our own door off, you know, in the middle of a game. And so if we can stop that, which I think they have, and now take it back out on the road, since we haven't been on the road for a while, get back on the road and try to get down there and win that series. I mean, that's what we're going down there to do.
Is it coincidental at all that the offense starts picking up when Gerard starts swinging the bat really well?
Well, you know, we brought him back, and when he came back, you know, the reason we were glad he came back is because he provides a lot of our energy. And when we were able to get, I think, Trosclair back on the field, his hitting got better because he's playing every day. And then I think when Suge was able to, you know, be our DH, I think that's where Suge's at his best. And he helps us in the dugout when he's in the dugout with energy now, and he helps us out on the field. Now we're starting to get more than one guy that's giving us energy. You know, BT's been there, Trosclair's giving it to us now. You know, you got Suge, Greg Davis has always given us a lot, and we're starting to get a little bit more balance at the bottom of the order and them being able to do something. You know, Joe Robbins got the big hit for us to break the game open. I mean, the more 7, 8, 9 help us, just the better off we're going to be because, you know, I mean, you want to bring 9 guys into a bar fight. You don't want to go in there with 5. If you go in there with 5, you better hope those 5 dudes are good. You want all 9. And hopefully the more 7, 8, 9 can come on for us. And look, they don't have to be, you know, home run guys. They just got to help us, you know. Clem hit for the cycle. I mean, man, now you got a guy down the bottom of the order now hitting for the cycle. So, I mean, if those guys at the bottom can help us, I think that's what's starting to give us some depth in our lineup is those 7, 8, 9 guys. If they can stay coming and push from the bottom, I think it can help us stay competitive.
And the second half of the season is something that you're preaching to these guys. Is that something you always do, or is that something that really with a young team can kind of take hold?
Well, there's unique ways to get through a season. I think everybody has to hold on to something, you know. I mean, you know what Coach Hud would hold the rope and every year. I mean, if you look at all the great teams by the time they get to Omaha and go visit all 8 of them that are there, they all have something. I mean, they all have a mantra, you know. Ours one year was blonde hair, you know. I mean, it's stupid things, but South Carolina one year had a goldfish, you know. They've got a goldfish out of the ditch or something and lived, so that became their mantra. So, I mean, all these teams, if you watch them, by the time they get to Omaha, they all have something. And I think that has to be forged. I don't think you can pull your team up sometimes and just say, hey, we're gonna use this dead goldfish as our mantra, you know, I mean, those things I think happen along the way. And you have to find ways, because it's a long season. And once they go play pro ball, it's even longer, you know, from beards, you see it at the big league level, beards, hair, I mean, it's all kind of things, you know, because the season's just so long, you just can't hang on to baseball. And the way baseball works itself out usually is you win a third and you lose a third. It's what you do at your last third that makes or breaks you. And so you can't let, you know, our 13 losses spook you, because you're going to win a third, lose a third anyway. But it's what you do with your last third that's going to make or break you. So you start trying to really just get them to think better, you know, instead of looking at 13 losses, you can get them to put a different set of lenses on and just understand that you're going to probably have that anyway. I mean, you know, Major League Baseball, the team that wins the World Series this year is going to have almost 60 losses. So it's debatable. I mean, are they really good because they win, or are they good because of being able to come back from losing? I think that's who the great teams are, personally. And so what we try to do with them is just get them to understand, here's what we were in the first half. If we stay that way in the second half, we keep having bad base run mistakes, we keep making errors, this is what you're going to be in the second half. Now, if you take away that, be somebody else in the second half, maybe you can be different. And since we got the first win, we said we're 1-0 in the second half, and now we're 2-0 in the second half, we're 3-0 in the second. So how long that'll run, I don't know, you know, but we're getting them to focus on the second half. For us to get there, they have to focus on that. I mean, they cannot look backwards. There was enough looking back to start the season, you know, young, inexperienced, is it a rebuilding year? The team before was 58 wins, you know, and they knew that. Man, you got to stop looking back and you start looking forward. So hopefully they've done a better job of that, but that is kind of what we're preaching right now, is we used the, I don't know, it was the 2010 team maybe, they went 24-3 down the stretch. You know, we got to a regional, and yet they were left for dead after the first half. So, you know, you just try to keep making them look through a good set of lenses, because if they don't, the season's too long. It'll catch up to them. They'll start looking backwards, and then you're in real trouble. What their mantra is yet, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, we haven't forged something maybe yet to this point. They're just, you know, they just don't want it to be a rebuilding year. I know that. They don't want to be defined by that, and they care. They showed me that when they got swept twice and came back out Sunday and fought. You know, they do care. They did have a team meeting when I thought it was time to have a team meeting. They did put on business clothes when they went on a road trip, because they said it was a business trip, that they might have sat in the hotel too much and, you know, let their focus wane. So they're verbalizing things, and they're seeing things, and they're doing things that I think you want your team to do when you're in this situation. Now, what'll happen? I don't know. We'll have to go play the games, but you sure feel good as a coach, though, knowing that, you know, they're not just sitting there going, whoops, you know, let's just grow these freshmen and start over next season. You know, that's not the mentality they have, or the coaches. We told them that from the get-go. We're not going to come in with that mentality.
If the Cajuns had a crawfish as their mantra, who would be most likely to eat that crawfish on the team?
Well, Scoob last year was our guy like that. He'd eat a roach after bat practice, or a grasshopper. Scoob would eat anything. But Scoob's not here anymore. We got a lot of guys. In fact, we have a crawfish ball this afternoon, so there'll be a lot of eating crawfish today. That's for sure. But you know, I think they'll grow into something before it's over. You know, it's a little past midway. Some people get their stuff early. You know, like last year's team won in beards. You know, I mean, so each team is kind of different. We haven't really, I think, gotten to anything yet. I think eventually something maybe will show up. But most teams that finish the end of the season successful and are headed somewhere to postseason play, they're all hanging on to something. I don't think you can hang on just playing, because that gets just too old. Too old.
More questions?
Thanks, guys.